Welcome back to the Traders Network Show and our continued coverage of Humanity 2.0. I'm Matt Bird, broadcasting worldwide from the Vatican for Equities.com and its affiliate partners. My next guest needs very little introduction. He is the editor of Inc. magazine, James Ledbetter. How you doing, buddy?
Matt, great to meet you.
Shake your hand, my friend. I'm a big fan of your work.
Thank you.
And I was surprised to see you here, pleasantly surprised to see you here. So Inc. is a very well-established publication and brand. You're consuming a lot of information here at the Humanity 2.0. We've had a lot of influencers. One of my favorite guys, Greg Metcalf from the OECD, we had on here earlier. I've known Greg for a number of years. You have the CEO of Burst IQ, you've got Google, we've got Cisco. What's the messages so far? What's the big takeaway?
I think as governments around the world struggle for a variety of reasons, whether it's to deal with immigration or because of authoritarianism or simply an alienation from their own population, other forces from society need to help out. They need to kind of take over some of the responsibilities that have traditionally been the role of government, and I think business is a very important one of those. So how can business be guided by some of these centuries-old principles, ideas, and guidelines for how to be more effective in terms of governing people?
Do you think that along that vein, is it because a lot of it has to do with the legacy of when some of these things were established and where we're at today are just two different ecosystems, two different universes?
Right. I mean, you have a business sector that, for a very long time was focused primarily on profit, even though, of course, in lots of places in the world, they're also creating communities. But now that these priorities have become more imperative with things like climate change, things like artificial intelligence, I think a lot of business leaders are looking outside of that strict profit motive for other things they can do, not only to be more effective in terms of preserving the planet and creating sustainable, but also it helps the bottom line.
So, watching the show are CEOs and regulatory makers and policy makers and so on and so forth. What message could you give them as an editor of a magazine, as somebody who helps that CorpCom or that P3 message or the sustainability or corporate social responsibility messaging? From your standpoint, what catches your eye and what these businesses could do to look at it from there's business and there's corporate social responsibility, and this is the stuff that catches our attention?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think you got to look really, really hard at all the places where your business touches people, right? As customers, as employees, as community stakeholders, and figure out what are the unique attributes of your product, your service, your brand that can be extended into a broader social mission that's consistent with the brand, consistent with the way that you make profit. And we've seen lots of creativity in this area. This is one of Inc.'s sweet spots, from Tom's Shoes, buy one, give one model, right. Warby Parker, Kind Snacks getting into all kind of nutritional areas. It's a great way to push your business agenda forward, but also to do good within the community. And I think that any group of thinkers who helps business leaders do that is going to have a great role to play.
I think it's really well said, and from a CorpCom perspective, those are material pivots from an organization that is newsworthy. I mean, that stuff is relevant. That companies are making a change for good.
No question about it.
And it's great because content's is being created on the heels of those changes within those organizations.
And I think new businesses and new business models will emerge as companies begin to take on these roles that traditionally were left to either the government sector or the NGO sector.
Now, are you going to be on a panel?
In a few minutes.
In a few minutes. What can we expect from you on your panel?
I think we're going to get a good in-depth explanation of how companies are struggling with data privacy, with artificial intelligence, and with advancing ethical decision-making in a corporate environment.
Well, listen, I'm going to wish you the best. In fact, I'm going to watch that panel. I'm going to take a break from doing this
Excellent.
for a minute. Everybody, this is the editor of Inc. magazine, James Ledbetter. Ledbetter. I apologize for chopping your name out. We'll be right back after these messages. Don't go away. You're watching the Traders Network Show.